I want you to know that I hope you have a friend or friends like Glen is to me in your life. Because Glen is a guy that encourages me, knows me, keeps in touch with me, calls me. When he talks to me, and we share about a whole lot of things, he always makes sure that he knows that he loves me. He shares that. Every time I get off the phone with Glen or meet with him in person, I'm lifted. And I pray that the Holy Spirit today use Glen to become your friend, encourager, and to lift you as well. Brother?
Good morning. I'm glad you all are here. You've blessed me by being here this morning. So you guys may have seen the sign in the lobby or the front page of the website with this crazy thing, the gospel according to Glen. And I tell you what, I first heard about that when I called Shelley a few weeks ago, because Kevin had said, you need to call Shelley and just make sure you know what's going on with the music and all that. And so I called Shelley and she said, gosh, Glen, we're so excited, and I'm like, really? And she said, yeah, it's, we're calling it the gospel according to Glen. And I was just like, my heart stopped. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I kind of had a feeling that Jesus was saying the same thing. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's kind of the gospel according to Glen. Well, it's pretty intense. Anyway, my last gig, so to speak, in a church like this was when I was 6 years old. That's me, believe it or not. And my mom had forced me, I can tell you, under duress, which was often the case with her, to join the children's choir at the Methodist church where we went outside of New York City in a suburb in New Jersey. Believe me, I didn't want to be doing that. I'd much rather be out on my bicycle or whatever. But I did it, and it was a little tough, and I didn't think I could sing very well, and you'll find out this morning that that's still the case. Yeah, that was my last gig. So be assured I'm not a preacher. I don't have a preaching background. I have not been trained to be a minister or any of that. My last gig was, in fact, 6 years old. What happened shortly after this picture was taken was not quite so fun. It was my mom and my father taking me in a room in our house, and my mom announced to me, Glen, your dad and I are no longer going to be living together. You're going to be coming with me to live with me, and your brother is going to go live with your father. And my mean-spirited mother, delivered the message, and not so kindly to me, and my dad, who was very passive, just kind of listened. And it was that moment when I really decided that God couldn't possibly be good. I didn't want anything to do with church. I didn't want anything to do with God. It just didn't seem like a nice place to be in this world. It was really sad. So that's a quick intro, just so you get the background with me. Now I'm going to shift gears. Many of you may know of this game show. Some of you aren't old enough to know about it, but I suspect some of you are old enough. There was a crazy TV show called Let's Make a Deal. Do some of you remember it? Monty Hall was the god of the show. And the idea was to wear some crazy getup. They'd come in an auditorium about like this. They weren't dressed like you guys, though, where they had, although I'm looking around. Does anybody have a crazy getup on? Some kind of crazy costume. And the idea was to attract Monty's attention so you'd have a chance to compete for free stuff. And the big grand finale for this show was to be able to compete for what's behind 3 doors. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. And so it's a neat metaphor for our lives, because there's lots of doors in our lives, and we're always hoping that there's some big prize behind those doors, right? So, what is your hope that's behind your door? Could it be a fancy car, maybe a new Beamer, a Porsche, or Ferrari, something really fast everybody would want? Could it be a ski boat? Or a yacht or something like that, a perfect body, like a tummy tuck, or maybe something I could use a facelift at this point in my life, that perfect body. What's behind those doors for you? For me, as a 30-year-old, I had a lot of those things. I had a 911 Porsche, quite a lovely little car, very fast. I had a ski boat, and I skied all the time, trying to perfect my slalom run, as you can see there in the photo, and a muscular, lean body. an incredible job with Apple. I was making a boatload of money. It was a perfect life. Unbelievable. I had it all. But you know what? I actually didn't have it all. Because deep inside, the hurt, the pain, the suffering of being beaten by an angry mother, being emotionally wrecked, depression, being hospitalized with depression, medicated, feeling very alone in a lot of ways. I had a lot, but I didn't have much. And you know, we sang a song a minute ago, open the eyes of your heart, but really the first step to opening doors in your life, you got to open up your heart. The door to your heart has to be open so God can enter in. So one afternoon, in that beautiful lake, I was all by myself, beautiful day, kind of like today, and all of a sudden I felt this incredible dark depression swirling around in my head, and I just thought, man, oh man, I just felt like I was getting ready to have a crash and burn, and all of a sudden there was this intense spiritual energy, and I lifted up my hands, and I lifted up my head, and I screamed out in the quiet of the afternoon, God, if you're out there, answer me. God, if you're out there, if there's a God. And you got to remember, I was a borderline atheist at the time. I didn't need God. Look at all that cool stuff I had. But I cried out, and there was an echo through the lake that day. I was the only one around. And I cried out, and from that point, unbelievable things happened. Doors started opening. And this time, it wasn't Porsches, ski boats, or any of that stuff. It was a different kind of door. So here's door number one. 25 years ago, door number one. Do you recognize that door? It's right around the corner. So we had moved to Alpharetta with my job at Apple, and one of my Apple buddies came and said to me, my wife, my sweet wife Cindy, who's here today, hey, why don't you guys come to church with us on Sunday? And I said, hey, I don't do church. No, thank you. I don't want God. I don't know. No, thank you. No, thank you. And he kind of coaxed me. Brian is his friend, Brian Boroff. Some of you may know Brian. And then my wife said, come on, Glenn, what do you got to lose? I mean, come on. It's just an hour. It's not going to be that bad. So I was sort of dragged through that door. And as it says there from John, Jesus said, truly, I say to you, I am the door, the sheep. And I was the sheep. I didn't know it. And Christ the shepherd was behind the door. And I got dragged in there, much against my own will. And somebody plunked me in the front row, 25 folding chairs. And guess who was right in front of me that morning? This man right here. And he proceeded to look me right in the eye. I have a feeling you guys, anybody who comes here regularly knows that sometimes you feel like Pastor Kevin is speaking just to you, and he's crafted the message just for you. And I sat there thinking, somebody's told him about me. Somebody's telling me, because this message is really uncanny, because it's talking to me. And I squirmed, and I wanted to keep the eye contact away, but it didn't work. But you know what? All I could think of was, if I can just hold on for 1 hour, I'll be out of here. And I can go back home and do something else. Maybe go skiing or something. So I made it through the hour, ran out the door, and went home to door number 2. Door number 2 is my little home. Not so little, but a nice home over here in Windward. Spinnakers, to be exact. And we live there, and you'll see the doorway there. And that's door number 2. In the story. So again, Revelation 3:20 was quite an appropriate verse for this, because behold the door and the knock, right? If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come in and have something to eat with him. So I was home in the kitchen with Cindy. We were getting ready to have some lunch, and knock, 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 knock at the door. And Cindy says, Glenn, go see who's at the door. So you probably can't see in that photo there, but there are some little transom things, little glass things about this big, and so I peeked through there, and guess who it was? PK. And I went, oh no, I can't believe this. So I took off back into the kitchen. I said, Cindy, it's Pastor Kevin. She said, well, go open the door. And what I wanted to do is go out the side door. I wanted out. It's like, oh my gosh. I said, look, he's going to ask for money. He's going to ask me to join the church, something. I got to get out of here. She said, Glenn, come on, open the door. So I went there, greeted Pastor Kevin. He came in. Over the course of the next hour, we had lunch. And you know what was amazing? Not once did he mention God or Jesus or ask me for money or ask me to come back to the church. He was just my friend, and he loved on me. And you know something? That's a metaphor for God, right? We always think God's going to want something from us or do stuff to us. And guess what? He just wants to be our friend. He just wants to love us. And I couldn't believe this, right? That wasn't what I expected. And it isn't ever what we expect, is it? Because we think God's mean and angry and going to do stuff to us or ask us for money or something. He doesn't need our money. Right, Kevin? So, he left, and I'm telling you guys, changed my life right then. And so much has happened, I can't even begin to go through it all. But let me tell you, it's been an unbelievable journey, and some of the people that are here with me today have been part of it. It's been amazing. So I'm going to fast forward again, right? I've done these 25 or 30-year fast forwards, right? We went from the church choir to the ski boat and all that, and then we went to 25 years ago. So I'm going to fast forward one more time to door number 3. 3 years ago, I was invited to join up with a prison ministry. Throughout the Bible, there are doors and gates and things like that. They're metaphors for God. And that's what we're talking about this morning, those doors. This one was a gate, and I can assure you that doesn't look really inviting, does it? Barbed wire, sirens. This does not look good, does it? And the idea of being invited to join a prison ministry, and what's really crazy was, it was to play the guitar in the prison ministry band. And I had just started playing music a few years earlier. When I was 54, and I won't even go into this story, I started playing music, the guitar, the piano. Unbelievable. And now someone's saying, Glenn, come play the guitar in the prison. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The same thing I said to Shelley when she said the gospel according to Glenn. I said, you got to be kidding me. Me in a prison playing, it was like, this is weird and it's scary. But let me show you what was behind that door. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? A beautiful chapel in a beautiful mountain setting. I live in one of the most beautiful places on this planet. And this is one of the most beautiful prison campuses you can imagine. Once you get through that barbed wire and all that, amazing. I went, wow, look at this. Not what I envisioned at all. And look at that beautiful doorway. But you know what? It's not that was so gorgeous. It's this. 200 prisoners every time I go come into that door, broken. They've been beaten, raped, robbed. They are at the lowest place of humanity. Not a thing. They don't feel loved. They don't feel worthy of even breathing. And they come through that door. And I'm in there on that stage playing the guitar with my friends. And let me tell you guys, the beauty of music. Everybody loves music, right? Every one of you does. They never hear it until we play it. And they just rise up and they raise their hands up and they dance and they sing and they bang tambourines and they run around. And they are so blessed. How blessed? Last year, 230 prisoners, broken people, came forward, got down on their knees, and let Jesus into their life. 230 souls. And each time they leave, they send all these comments back, which you can imagine someone like me who is afraid of all this. The power of Jesus' Holy Spirit was on fire as we started worshiping. I feel like I want to run around and scream and cheer about Jesus at the top of my lungs. And they do. It's unbelievable, guys. It's unbelievable. Okay, so here's the deal. God invites us to open doors. Why? Because he's behind those doors. He wants you. He wants me. He wants a relationship with us. He doesn't want your money. He wants you. He wants you to come to a relationship with him. And so if this is all so great, Glen, you're probably sitting there, why don't I want to open those doors? Why do I hesitate? I reach out, but I don't think I want to open that, right? What's going on? Well, first of all, we're afraid. I can relate to who wants to go through a prison gate? We are afraid. Why are we afraid? We're anxious. We're scared. And a lot of it's the work of Satan. Satan wants us to be afraid. He wants to deceive us. He wants to make us discouraged and keep us from opening doors to God. And fear is one of the greatest reasons why we don't open doors. Another one, I really relate to this one, maybe you do. I'm a bad fit. You got to be kidding me. You want me to do this? Me? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not worthy. Why are you doing this to me, God? Or, hey, I got it covered, man. I don't need any of that. I got it covered. I got my fast car, got my ski boat, got my stuff. Don't need your love. I got it covered. How about this one, Alpharettians? I got to make that next appointment, man, that sales quota, man. I got to nail that quota so I get the free trip to Hawaii or that new Beamer, right? No time. Too busy. Don't have time for that. I can't possibly devote the time for whatever God's want me to do. I'm way too busy taking the kids to soccer, preparing for that big sales presentation, waxing up the Beamer. We're just too busy. But here's the deal, guys. It is through that weakness, the fear, the anxiety, the fact that you don't have time, the fact that you don't think you're worthy, the fact that you don't think you can do it, the fact that you think you're the wrong person, that amounts to one big word, weakness. And it is exactly that brings God's presence into your life. It is the weakness. If it wasn't for the weakness, you would not need God. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. Written from inside of a prison by Paul. 2 Corinthians. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. So here's the deal. You can look back like I do over the course of 25 years, and I thank God. I can look now forward with complete trust based on what I'm seeing behind me. He closes doors that no man can open, and he opens doors that no man can close. I've been trying to close them, guys, but I ain't been able to. And I really appreciate that you walked through the door into this room this morning, so much so that I'm going to sing you a song called Lead Me to the Cross. I think it's really appropriate for Pentecost.
Savior, I come, quiet my soul. Remember redemption's hill, where your blood was spilled for my ransom. Everything I once held dear, I count it all as lost. Lead me to the cross where your love poured out, and bring me to my knees, Lord, lay me down, and rid me of myself. I belong to you. Lead me to the cross. You sin and death. Now you're risen. Everything I once held dear, I count it all as loss. And lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, or lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross. To your heart. To your heart. Lead me to your heart. And lead me to your heart. And lead me to the cross where your love poured out. Bring me to my knees, Lord, and lay me down. Rid me of myself, I belong to you. Oh, lead me to the cross where your love poured out. And bring me to my knees, Lord, and lay me down. And rid me of myself, I belong to you.